It's working.
Okay. There's
Okay,
a little
great.
glitch
A
there.
little glitch there, but Chloe, Grant, welcome to Chicane.
Thank you for having me.
We're
So
so
excited.
happy you're here.
Yes.
I'm happy to be here.
Okay, so we'll just first off, how are you doing? How's life right now?
It's fine, yeah, stressful as the world of motorsport is, but no, it's good, thank you.
Yeah. So you're currently racing with KMR Sport in the GB4 championship, correct?
Yeah.
How's the season going for you so far?
Well, for those who follow me, they'll know that it was a very, very last minute decision. Um, a couple of plans kind of fell through for this season. And I was planning on doing British F4 originally, but just honestly purely down to budget, it just didn't happen for us. And it came to the week of round one at Ilton for GB4 that we decided we'd be doing it. So I didn't do any testing apart from the 2 days we got on the weekend. So I was a bit nervous and feeling a bit of pressure. And yeah, I think round one at Ulton, my pace was awful in my opinion. Like I don't think I was good at all. I was a bit erratic, wasn't driving very efficiently. However, I managed to hold on to a result in the last race and managed to secure a P2, which definitely wasn't a bad debut to the first round. And then Silverstone was a bit weird because the weather was really on and off. So we had
Yeah.
one race was actually cancelled, and we'll get that race next time we go back to Silverstone this year. So we'll have 4 instead of 3 races. So we only got 2 races at round two, and it wasn't bad. I think for some reason all three of us, as in me and my teammates, we just seemed a bit off that weekend. I think there was a bit, maybe something in the car we were all struggling with. However, in the second race that we did get, I did manage to do a decent job and go from P7 to P3, but the issue was that in the last 2 laps, unfortunately, another car touched my rear and put me in the gravel, so I didn't finish the race, which is pretty annoying because it was about to be another podium, another really good set of points, and I just missed out on that. So it is what it is, unfortunately, and hopefully we can be better at round three.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, best of luck to you for that.
Thank you.
So, how is the GB4 championship different than F1 Academy or JSCC that you've done before?
Oh, very different. I'll just start. So JCC, which I did in 2021. JCC is a saloon car championship. It's a Citroen Saxo. It's ridiculously slow, but for your being young and coming into the car world, it feels quick at the time. But now it's like so slow, awful thing to drive, so understeery, and you're like turning like that, like it's just ridiculous. But it was a good fun first year in cars. It was a good experience, and I learned a lot that has still been valuable to me from it, and made good friends. So yeah, it was good, but it was just kind of, yeah, like I said, pretty understeery, too much steering needed, bumper cars, really using your side pods to overtake, what you shouldn't be doing. And then F1 Academy. So the F1 Academy car is the same car used in British F4, Spanish F4, Italian F4, UAE, so many F4 championships. Apart from I think in America it's different, and French F4 it's different as well.
Yeah.
I don't know about Australia and other places, but that's as much as I know. It's the exact same car, but the reason the F1 Academy cars look different is because our front and rear wing was designed to look like a mini F1 car. However, the wings, which is quite a common question, people ask if the wings make a difference in the feeling or the downforce, and they don't. If it was F3 or F2, 100% they would, because they're so quick, because they're such faster cars, and they rely so much on their downforce. Whereas, yes, we do rely on it, but we don't rely on it as much as they do, so it just doesn't make as much of a difference changing the wings like that.
Yeah.
So no, and the only thing that was slightly different as well is the brakes. Like I felt jumping from F1 Academy to British F4 testing, I felt the F1 Academy car, you had to hit it a lot harder than British, because British F4's brakes are very sensitive and lock up really easily. But so that's quite a good comparison. But with GB4, it's very different. GB4 is the Gen 1 Tata chassis, and F1 Academy, and like I said, all the other F4 championships are Gen 2 Tata chassis. So it's a completely different car. They have Halo, I don't have Halo. Which will be changed next year, thankfully. And yeah, it's just that's a much more modern car. Everyone's different. I think a lot of people actually prefer the Gen 1, the one I'm currently driving, which I think maybe, I don't know if I just had a really bad experience when I first drove it, but for some reason, for me, I much prefer the Gen 2. So, like, I preferred F1 Academy British F4 car compared to GB4. But I think everyone is different, and I've not heard anyone agree with me on that. I think everyone said opposite. So, like I said, I think it's maybe just because I had a bad first experience with the Gen 1, which is why I prefer the Gen 2. I just prefer the handling more, to be honest, and I like that there's a halo. It feels safer. But no, the Gen 1's still really good fun. It's definitely like completely different to drive. It feels feels heavier on the steering wheel. You're putting all your effort into the brake pedal, like literally all your might. It's kind of similar to like if you were driving F3 or F2 or Freca. But compared to British, it's like so light on the brake, whereas GB4, I'm absolutely smashing that brake. So there is a lot of difference, and even the feeling of how it handles is completely different. So yeah, it's. I mean, they wouldn't look when you look at them, they don't look too different, but they feel completely different.
I would imagine, yeah, being totally different, like sporting, like motorsport categories, like it's insane. But when you entered karting when you were like 7, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. How did you know at such a young age that you wanted to race? Like, I had no idea what I wanted to do when I was 7.
Well, I didn't know then. It was just a hobby. I mean, my parents literally put me in every single sport you can think of when I was young, but they didn't actually put me into motorsport. I asked to start, and it was because my oldest sister did it.
Hmm.
And she decided to do it because she saw the Ayrton Senna movie, and she was just so inspired that she was like, I want to do this, I want to do this. My dad, having 3 girls, never thought he'd have any involvement in motorsport, but he loves motorsport. Like growing up, I mean, mainly MotoGP. Bikes was our thing, but like F1 was always on. There was always some form of motorsport on the TV, so it was always my dad's thing. And like he did a little bit of karting himself. After like he kind of stopped riding his bike on the roads, so yeah, he knew some people in karting, and that's who he got into contact with to help Lucy get started. And then I watched her for about a year, and I literally was just like, "Oh, can I have a shot?" But my dad had to get me a whole separate cart because I was 7 and Lucy was like 15, 14. So she was obviously in like juniors, whereas I was like cadets, which is a huge difference in speed, because of the age categories. So yeah, I got my own wee cart, and I was so bad. Like I was really slow. I was literally just dawdling about, um, having fun. And then and as I grew up and got older and went through like, the different age categories, and at this time I was still doing loads of different other sports. Like I said, like my parents literally put me through everything. Like I did swimming, dancing, tennis, horse riding. I did horse riding for 4 years. I did field hockey for 5 years, which was actually my second favorite sport. And all these things I had to stop eventually because my dad's like, "You're gonna break your back on that horse if you fall off. You can't race." And I was like, "Okay." But when I got to the age of 11 was when I moved. I did move up a year early, but it's because I'm just like, I'm quite tall, not too tall, but like I grew quick. So for my age, I've always been like freakishly tall. So when I was 11, when I should have been 12, moving up to this category, moving up to mini max, I was 11 though. I think the ages is different now, but at that time I moved up early. Um, just literally the first day I drove that cart, it was so much faster than what I'd been driving before,
Mm-hmm.
and because of the adrenaline that I felt and just going that fast, that speed, and that was the day that I was like, this isn't a hobby.
Yeah. So, what was the biggest takeaway or thing that you learned during your time in F1 Academy?
um, it's kind of hard to put one thing. I think there's lots, and the main reason is because of ART Grand Prix. Like racing for ART was a privilege. I've never been so upset to have to leave a team before. They truly became like a family, and they taught me everything that I know now. I mean, before going to F1 Academy, I was clueless. I hadn't been taught anything. I was literally just learning the ropes, and people obviously don't know things behind the scenes, but I'm not kidding. I was taught nothing. Like I knew nothing going into F1 Academy. Like even sometimes I'd be confused about understeer and oversteer. Like how silly is that? Like just rookie stuff. Like that's how bad it was. How bad I was at the start of last year, and then ART really just like sorted me out, taught
Mm-hmm.
me everything, and from day one to the last day, it was just completely different. Like even how I can report back on how the car feels was so different. And even now, I think having some more time over the winter to think about more things that I learned from them, I've managed to enhance it more. So I think everything that I've brought into this year has been from them. And yeah, I'm just so grateful to have had that opportunity with them because I don't think I'd have learned as much as I have if I didn't get the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel pressure to work harder than others because of being a woman in motorsports, or do you use it kind of as like a support to like because everybody's like rooting for you? Like, do you like how does that work for you in the mental?
Honestly, no. I think we get lots of questions like this, and I think from the outside, I think it looks worse than what it is, but from
Okay.
the inside as a driver, it's not bad. Like, see, when you're actually in the paddock, you have the race suit on, you're working with people in the sport. They couldn't care less what gender you are. Like, they're there to do a job, so are you. You actually, like, you become quite close with everyone that you work with.
Oh,
And everyone's so respectful. The only people you that, like, for example, on social media, it looks bad, but it's not that bad. And you see these people commenting things. They're either a 12-year-old boy who simply just needs sat down and some education, or needs a smack from their mother and a lesson, or it's a 6-year-old man who's jealous because you're living their dream. Like,
yeah,
that's all it is, and you can't, like, I know it's really tough. Like, I said, obviously people have said things to me, and it's so hard to sometimes just sit back and like do nothing about it. But what I actually do now, instead of like retaliating with anger, I actually like go back to them with like kindness, because then they either don't reply or they apologize. Because if you're kind to someone, then they feel bad and they can't be mean back to you. And at the end of
yeah,
the day, you just kind of have to almost be a bit sympathetic towards them, because they clearly just need a bit of education.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, it's definitely like, it's nowhere near as bad as I think media makes it out to be. When you actually work in the sport, it's not bad. It's just people who are not involved in the sport, and you can only listen to people involved in the sport, because they're valid, the only people, like, their opinions the only like a valid opinion.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good to
I
hear.
was gonna say that's very
Yeah.
encouraging.
Good.
So, outside of racing, you said you have done a lot of other sports. What are some of your hobbies that you kind of keep up with now, or do you even have like time to keep
Absolutely
up with other
nothing.
interests?
When I did hockey, I played for my local town. That was my favorite, but I had to stop because I couldn't give any more to it than I was, and I was barely giving it anything.
Hmm.
Because racing is the priority. So no, like, I would say my hobby's the gym, but again, that's training for motorsport. So yeah, but I do enjoy the gym as well. So yeah, I would just have to say my training, to be honest.
That's good.
Yeah.
Therapeutic a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you think is like the ultimate goal that you have for your motorsport career right now?
um, I mean, if I was 7 years old, I'd say Formula One, but now that I'm 18 and know the realities of motorsport, the only way that I can express my goals is to say a professional racing driver.
Hmm. That's a good goal, though.
Yeah. So you can answer this for racing or outside of racing, but what's the best advice that you've ever received?
Oh, I had this question the other day and I couldn't think. Um, I'd say it sounds a bit boring, but the effect that it had on me was massive, and just
Hmm.
that it's all in your head.
Mm.
Because I know it sounds stupid, but it genuinely is. Like, something I've obviously over winter I've been focusing a lot on my mental training, and like just visualization and trying to stay focused. And one thing that I've noticed is I'm not. I'm for. It sounds strange, but I'm actually not great in high pressure situations, which sounds weird because I'm a racing driver. But we've noticed, like, it's not really bad. Obviously, I don't fall to the back. Like, I fight quite well, but what I mean by that is, for example, and I noticed this at Ilton when I was leading at Ilton, I was looking in my mirrors thinking, oh my god, they're going to catch me, they're going to catch me, when I should have been looking ahead,
Mm.
focusing on my driving to try and get away. And that's a weakness of mine, and I'm very open about that. So that's something I've been working on, because it is all in your head. If I just need to almost change the way that I think, if I'm thinking a different way, I'll just drive away and I won't fall back. And it sounds simple, but when you're actually trying to work on it, it's really hard. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things I've learned mentally recently, and just, yeah, that it's all in your head is actually so much bigger than you think. Because a lot of things it is, and it's not just racing. I've noticed now a lot of life.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
complete sense.
I think we all need that reminder a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want? Okay. Kind of following that, like, is there any specific things that in your pre-race routine that you cannot miss that kind of like help your mindset whenever you get into a race day?
Yeah, I definitely think, like, I remember at Austin last year, when I was sitting on the grid, I was thinking about something to do with motorsport, but it was something that was out of my control, and there was no point sitting worrying about it because I couldn't do anything about it, and me sitting there thinking about it was going to make me perform bad. So, um, yeah, there's a lot of times where I find myself thinking about things I shouldn't when in that moment. So I find music really helps me. So like I
Mm.
have a playlist that helps. So I put my playlist on and it's like the exact time that it should be before I get in the car. And I do like a warm up. So like just getting my body moving, almost like a mini exercise kind of thing. And it just completely distracts me. I really get in that zone. So that definitely really helps. And then I always get in from the left side of the car. But
Okay. I'm interested. What is like some music that you listen to? Like, what kind
Yeah.
of vibes are you
I
putting in
can
your?
I can get the playlist up.
Because I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was like Lando was talking about some um music that he listens to, and he listens to sad music.
Yeah.
I've
And I'm
done that. I've done that before, but no, I've learned that doesn't like that will work. It's weird. That will work for me in between sessions, but before a session it won't. But I don't know if you can see, but I can try and wait. If I turn my brightness down,
like,
look, there we go.
okay,
Very
do it like a
nice.
girl. Danger Zone tattoo legends
Oh
are made.
yeah.
Okay, okay, that's a good playlist.
Yeah, that
Yeah, I
helps.
used to do competitive like martial arts, and I never like found the right type of music to
Mm.
really hype me up.
Really.
So don't do it anymore. But that's fine. So one more question, and then we'll get into some rapid fire ones. But is there a specific reason you have your driver number, or did it just kind of pick you?
Oh, yeah, this is quite a funny story, and I've told it a few times recently. So, here we go. So, number 66. Simply, I chose it because my sister had it, and
Mm.
I thought that was quite sweet, a family thing. However, Lucy chose it because, so the man Hamish who helped us get into motorsport, his son Graham, he raced. Graham chose the number 66. So when Lucy started, she thought, oh, Graham's got that, I'll just take that as well. And then when I started, I thought, oh, I'll just take that as well. However, Graham chose it for reasons we did not realise. So Hamish's dad is from Scotland, and so is his mum, but Graham was born in England, and in 1966, England won the World Cup. Which,
Okay.
being a Scottish driver, is horrible. But
Yeah.
ever since I left the number 66, my results have been awful. So I had to come back to it, and then I got P2. So it was just like, I can't get rid of it now.
You're stuck with it.
Yeah.
It's just redemption, really. You're taking it back.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's awesome. Yeah, so we'll just get into some quick fire questions before we close up. If you could land any sponsorship, who or what brand would it be?
Someone with lots of money. I don't. I can't think of an exact company. I mean, it's just kind of anyone who could literally just because that's just something we're struggling with at the minute. Anyone who can just literally help to fund me, essentially. Who's got enough to make me go high up?
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what? Elon Musk. He's loaded.
Yeah.
I'll go for him.
The X on your car?
Yeah.
If you could live the life of anybody else for a day, who would it be and why?
I've never been asked that before. I would be cringy and be like, myself, but that's not true. I don't want to be anyone else. I don't want to be anyone else, but it'd be interesting. Oh, I don't know. I want to say like either like Charles Leclerc or Lando because of the fact they live in Monaco, and I just want to know what like a day to day life is like for them. Like being in Formula One, living in Monaco. I want to know, like, what's that like?
No,
Yeah.
same. Exactly. Monica's gorgeous too. Like I would love to like stay there for just a day.
Yeah.
What has been your favorite place to travel to and like what for?
Ooh. There's so many different places. I'm just gonna say like racing wise, Zandvoort
Oh.
because the track is it's my favorite circuit, and it's on a beach. Like,
Mm.
you can't, like, I got out of the car and went to the beach. Like, it was great. So it's my two favorite things combined: racetrack and beach. So I'm just gonna have to say Zandvoort.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Do you have a dream track that you want to race on that you haven't gotten the chance to yet?
Monaco.
Mm.
Yes.
Iconic. Iconic. What do you think is your favorite racing category that you've competed in so far?
I mean, it's got to be F1 Academy.
Mm.
I loved that season so much, and it's like nothing I've obviously ever experienced. So yeah.
If you could go into any other career besides being a racing driver, what would you choose?
Uh, I don't know why I think this, but I think if I had zero involvement with motorsport, I would want to like move to Greece and work on a boat, something like that.
Okay, live a little Mamma Mia
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, Mamma Mia inspired.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you had like didn't have a job like driving the car and you could have a different job in the paddock, what would it be?
Driver coach, because I've been doing a bit of it like recently, not a lot, but a bit, and it is really nice like actually seeing someone improve and knowing that you're helping them. And yeah, no, I think probably driver coach. Someone said to me, "Oh, you'd be good at the media," and I was like, "No." Like I would like respect everyone who does it, like they do a really good job, but I would be so upset have like being behind the microphone and like speaking about other people behind the wheel. I'd rather be a driver coach and helping the driver at
Mhm.
least rather than speaking about them on TV. Like
No,
I'd be good at it, but it would upset me too much not being in the car, being as close to it as I could be.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
Makes
makes a lot
sense.
of sense, especially like with growing up around vehicles and everything. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think for our last question, just for like any young girls or kids that are getting into racing or are currently racing younger categories, do you have any advice that you would like to give them?
Um Honestly, just kind of go for it. Like, I don't really know what else to say apart from just do it, to be honest. It sounds like Nike. Um but yeah, I mean, it's been the best decision I've ever made. There's so many people that can help you out if you're stuck or confused with anything, and I know that. Well, for example, my DMs are pretty open, and I'm sure there's lots of other people, hopefully local to you, that can help out. And just go for it because you won't regret it. And if it comes to a point you stop enjoying it, you just stop.
Yeah.
That's wonderful advice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. We
No
appreciate
worries.
having you on here.
Thank you
Yeah.
for having me.
Thank you.
Yes.